Welcome to Mr. Horror. Today, prepare to be chilled to the bone with 3 spine-tingling, true creepy dark web horror stories. Brace yourself and let's dive into the terrifying unknown. Alex, a tech-savvy college student, had always been intrigued by the mysteries of the internet. One evening, while procrastinating on his studies, he decided to explore the dark web out of sheer curiosity. Using his knowledge of online security and a newly installed VPN, he navigated through hidden forums and marketplace, fascinated by the bizarre and twisted offerings that lay beneath the surface of the web. As he delved deeper, Alex stumbled upon a mysterious message board titled The Abyss. Its users claimed to have access to forbidden knowledge and dark secrets that were not meant for the eyes of the ordinary. Intrigued by the cryptic descriptions and the eerie atmosphere of the board, Alex couldn't resist the urge to investigate further. In one of the threads, he discovered a series of posts detailing a series of supposedly true horror stories involving dark web users. Among them was a particularly chilling tale of a man who had accidentally unearthed a malevolent entity through his online exploration, leading to a series of terrifying consequences. Despite the unsettling nature of the story, Alex was hooked. He became obsessed with the message board and its twisted tales, spending countless hours digging deeper into the dark corners of the internet in search of more sinister stories. As his obsession grew, Alex began to notice strange occurrences in his own life. His computer would crash without explanation. He would receive anonymous messages containing cryptic warnings, and he would hear eerie whispers in his apartment late at night. Unbeknownst to him, his curiosity had attracted the attention of something far more dangerous and malevolent than he could have ever imagined. As the bizarre occurrences intensified, Alex became increasingly paranoid and fearful, suspecting that his exploration of the dark web had somehow invited the malevolent entity from the story into his life. Determined to get to the bottom of the mystery and put an end to the sinister events plaguing him, Alex decided to return to the Abyss message board, seeking answers from its enigmatic users. To his surprise, he found a new thread that seemed to be discussing his situation. The users were sharing stories of others who had faced similar circumstances, each one suffering increasingly horrifying consequences after delving too deep into the dark web's secrets. One user, who went by the name Lurker, claimed to know how to banish the malevolent entity and end its reign of terror. Desperate for a solution, Alex reached out to Lurker through a private message, begging for help. Lurker agreed to assist him, but only if Alex would first complete a series of tasks to prove his dedication to escaping the entity's grasp. With no other options, Alex reluctantly agreed. As he carried out Lurker's assignments, Alex found himself drawn deeper into the twisted world of the dark web. The tasks ranged from decoding encrypted messages to tracking down other users who had also encountered the entity. Each challenge was more sinister than the last, pushing Alex further into the darkness and testing the limits of his resolve. As he progressed, Alex discovered that the malevolent entity was not a singular being, but rather a collective consciousness that fed on the fear and suffering of its victims. It had chosen Alex as its next target, using his obsession with the Abyss to lure him into its web of terror. With Lurker's guidance, Alex learned of a ritual that could potentially sever his connection to the entity and release him from its grasp. But the ritual was dangerous, requiring him to confront his deepest fears and risk his sanity in the process. Despite the risks, Alex knew that he had no choice but to face the darkness head-on or risk being consumed by it forever. Armed with the knowledge of the ritual and the support of Lurker, Alex prepared himself for the most harrowing ordeal of his life. As he gathered the necessary materials for the ritual, a ring of salt, a mirror, and a candle, he steeled himself for the confrontation with the malevolent entity. At the stroke of midnight, Alex initiated the ritual. He lit the candle, drew a protective circle of salt around himself, and placed the mirror before him. As he stared into his own reflection, he began to recite the ancient incantation Lurker had provided him. The room around him grew cold, and the air filled with an oppressive energy that seemed to sap his strength. As he continued to chant, a dark figure materialized in the mirror's reflection. It was a twisted, nightmarish version of himself, a manifestation of the malevolent entity that had been tormenting him. The doppelganger sneered at him, revealing its sharp, jagged teeth, and spoke in a voice that was both familiar and terrifyingly alien. "You cannot escape me," it hissed. "Your fear sustains me, and your terror will be my feast." Determined to break free from the entity's grasp, Alex continued the ritual, his voice growing stronger with each word. He confronted the entity in the mirror, forcing it to reveal its true form, a monstrous, shape-shifting creature with a hunger for human suffering. With his final words, Alex completed the incantation, and the mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces. The entity shrieked in agony, its grip on Alex finally severed, and it vanished in a cloud of darkness. Exhausted and shaken, Alex knew that he had narrowly escaped the clutches of the malevolent force. He thanked Lurker for their assistance, promising to never again venture into the dark corners of the internet. Lurker, pleased with Alex's newfound wisdom, disappeared into the digital shadows, leaving Alex to ponder the lessons he had learned. In the aftermath of his ordeal, Alex became a changed man. He abandoned his obsession with the dark web, realizing that some secrets were best left undiscovered. He dedicated his life to helping others navigate the perils of the internet, warning them of the dangers that lurk just below the surface. As for the abyss, the message board and its sinister threads vanished without a trace, leaving behind only a chilling reminder of the power of the dark web and the terrifying secrets that it held. Though Alex had triumphed over the malevolent entity, he knew that there were other dark forces out there, waiting to prey on the unsuspecting and the curious. But with his newfound knowledge and determination, he vowed to protect others from the same fate that had nearly befallen him. Sarah was an investigative journalist who had gained notoriety for her fearless exposes on controversial subjects. Her latest assignment was to research the darkest corners of the internet, the dark web. Though she was no stranger to uncovering the truth behind disturbing stories, the world she was about to explore was entirely new to her. After setting up the necessary security precautions, Sarah ventured into the depths of the dark web, exploring its hidden marketplaces and forums. She was both fascinated and horrified by the things she discovered, from illegal substances to criminal services. However, she soon realized that these disturbing offerings were just the tip of the iceberg. One day, while browsing a forum for dark web enthusiasts, Sarah came across a cryptic post containing an invitation to a mysterious event known only as The Gathering. The post was filled with riddles and puzzles that hinted at something far more sinister than the usual dark web fare. Intrigued, Sarah decided to solve the puzzles and uncover the truth behind the invitation. As she worked through the riddles, Sarah began to realize that they were leading her to a hidden community within the dark web, a community that was rumored to engage in dark rituals and dangerous games. Undeterred by the potential risks, Sarah continued her investigation, eventually uncovering the location and time of the gathering. Determined to expose the truth and bring the members of this secretive community to justice, Sarah decided to attend the gathering in person. She knew that it would be a dangerous mission, but she was prepared to do whatever it took to shine a light on the darkest corners of the internet. On the night of the gathering, Sarah logged into the dark web using an encrypted chat room where the event was taking place. Posing as an anonymous user, she found herself surrounded by a group of individuals who seemed to share an unsettling bond. As the event began, a mysterious figure known only as the host welcomed the participants and introduced the night's entertainment, a twisted game that would test the limits of their morality and resolve. The game was a series of trials, each more disturbing than the last, with the promise of unimaginable rewards for those who completed them all. Though Sarah was repulsed by the horrifying tasks, she knew that she had to participate in order to gather evidence against this sinister community. As the game progressed, the tasks became increasingly dangerous, pushing Sarah to the brink of her mental and physical limits. She watched in horror as her fellow participants carried out heinous acts in pursuit of the mysterious rewards. With each trial, Sarah felt her resolve wavering, questioning whether she could continue to put herself through such torment for the sake of her investigation. As the final trial approached, Sarah faced a terrible choice: complete the most monstrous task of all and gain access to the inner circle of this dark community, or abandon her mission and leave the horrifying secrets of the gathering hidden forever. Desperate to expose the truth, Sarah made the agonizing decision to proceed, carrying out the final task with trembling hands and a heavy heart. As she completed the trial, she was welcomed into the inner circle by the host, who congratulated her on her bravery and commitment. With her initiation complete, Sarah finally had the opportunity to confront the leaders of this twisted community and gather the evidence she needed to bring them to justice. As a member of the inner circle, Sarah was granted access to the true purpose of the gathering and the identities of its leaders. She discovered that the community was run by a cabal of powerful individuals who sought to control the dark web and manipulate its users for their own nefarious purposes. The trials were designed to test the loyalty and ruthlessness of potential members, ensuring that only the most devoted and morally compromised individuals would be allowed to join their ranks. Armed with this knowledge, Sarah began to collect evidence against the cabal, documenting their twisted games and criminal activities. She knew that her time was limited, as her true identity was at constant risk of being discovered. Each day, she navigated a dangerous tightrope, maintaining her cover while gathering the proof she needed to bring the leaders of the gathering to justice. Finally, after weeks of painstaking work, Sarah had amassed enough evidence to expose the cabal and shut down their sinister operation. As she prepared to make her escape and reveal the truth to the world, she was confronted by the host, who had somehow discovered her true identity. Realizing that her cover was blown, Sarah made a desperate attempt to flee, using her wits and resourcefulness to outmaneuver her pursuers. With each passing moment, the stakes grew higher as the members of the cabal closed in on her, determined to silence her before she could reveal their secrets. In a thrilling climax, Sarah managed to evade her pursuers and deliver the evidence to her editor, who immediately published her expose. The revelation sent shockwaves through the dark web community, leading to the arrest of several high-ranking members of the Cabal and the dismantling of their criminal empire. Though her mission was complete, Sarah's life would never be the same. Haunted by the horrors she had witnessed and the trials she had endured, she found herself unable to return to her previous life as an investigative journalist. Instead, she chose to dedicate herself to a new mission, educating the public about the dangers of the dark web and ensuring that the atrocities she had uncovered would never be forgotten. In the end, Sarah's courage and determination had triumphed over the darkness, but at a heavy personal cost. The shadows of her experiences would always linger, a chilling reminder of the evil that lurked in the hidden corners of the internet, waiting for its next victim. Tim was a college student studying computer science, fascinated by the unknown depths of the internet. His curiosity led him to explore the dark web, a hidden realm that existed beyond the reach of traditional search engines. Tim knew the risks involved in venturing into this dangerous territory, but his thirst for knowledge outweighed his fears. One evening, while browsing a notorious dark web forum, Tim stumbled upon a thread that piqued his interest. It was titled The Forbidden Archive and described a hidden digital library containing disturbing information and artifacts that were said to be too dangerous for the public. Intrigued, Tim decided to investigate the matter further, despite the warnings from other users to stay away from the archive. After days of searching and solving complex puzzles, Tim finally discovered a hidden link that led him to the Forbidden Archive. Once inside, he found a vast collection of chilling files, ranging from forbidden scientific experiments to ancient texts describing unspeakable rituals. Tim was both fascinated and horrified by the knowledge he had uncovered. However, it was one particular file that truly captured his attention, a mysterious video file with a cryptic title. Unable to resist the temptation, Tim clicked on the file, unknowingly opening a Pandora's box that would lead him down a dark and twisted path. As the video began to play, Tim was introduced to a charismatic figure known as the Puppeteer. The man spoke of a sinister game, one that would grant the players access to the deepest and darkest secrets of the world. Intrigued yet unnerved, Tim found himself drawn into the game, despite his instincts screaming at him to turn back. The game was a series of challenges, each designed to push the participants to their breaking points, physically and mentally. As Tim progressed through the levels, he found himself engaging in activities that grew increasingly dangerous and morally questionable. The once innocent college student was slowly being transformed into something darker and more sinister. Throughout the game, Tim was haunted by a nagging suspicion that he was not alone in his quest for knowledge. He could feel unseen eyes watching him, as if he were a pawn in someone else's twisted game. The line between reality and the digital world began to blur, and Tim found himself questioning everything he thought he knew about himself and the world around him. As Tim neared the end of the sinister game, he realized that he had become a prisoner of the Puppeteer's twisted design. He had been manipulated and groomed, his curiosity exploited to serve a darker purpose. Tim knew that he had to escape the game and expose the Puppeteer's machinations before it was too late. Using the skills he had acquired throughout the game and his own resourcefulness, Tim devised a plan to break free from the Puppeteer's control. With each challenge, he secretly gathered evidence of the game's true nature and the identity of its creator. However, Tim knew that his every move was being monitored and that he had to act swiftly and discreetly. In a daring act of defiance, Tim orchestrated a digital uprising among the other players of the game, rallying them to stand against the Puppeteer. Together, they managed to bring down the game's infrastructure, exposing the sinister figure in his twisted game to the world. The story of Tim's harrowing journey through the dark web became a cautionary tale, warning others of the dangers that lurked in the shadows of the internet. Though he had managed to escape the Puppeteer's grasp, the experience had left him scarred, forever changed by the darkness he had encountered. Tim vowed never to return to the dark web, dedicating his life to helping others avoid the same fate that had nearly consumed him. Thanks for watching, fellow horror enthusiasts. If you enjoyed these spine-chilling tales, be sure to like this video, subscribe to Mr. Horror, and hit that bell icon to be notified of our latest terrifying content. Until next time, stay safe and keep exploring the dark side.